vote. Angie,
Yes.
Barb,
Yes.
Bruce,
Yes.
Dustin,
Yes.
Joe, and myself, yes. Motion carries. Okay, acceptance of donations. Okay, we have a $600 donation. Excuse me. $600 donation from the class of 1977, designated for scholarships for the class of 2020 graduating senior. Be one male and one female that will receive scholarships. $583.09. A donation from Wyndham United Drive, designated for the Wyndham Dare program. A $200 donation from Trinity Lutheran Church of Sioux Valley, designated for the backpack program. 22 cases of 25 packages of Girl Scout cookies, donated by Girl Scout Troop 34164, designated for use by the school lunch program to hand out to families receiving school lunches, and a $55 donation from Bethany Lutheran Church, designated for the backpack program. Motion to introduce this resolution and accept it.
Motion to approve?
Bruce, second.
Okay. The motion was that Bruce?
Yes.
Okay, motion by Bruce. Okay. Any questions on that? If not, we'll proceed to vote. Angie,
Yes.
Barb,
Yes.
Bruce,
Yes.
Dustin,
Yes.
Joe, and myself, yes. Motion carries.
Hey, Joe LeCan, are you there now?
Yeah.
Okay,
Oh,
Joe's now here. I got him unmuted. He's got audio. So were you?
I'm on. Yeah.
Okay.
But it's Joseph.
Okay.
So, not Joel, because Joel and Joseph are.
It's just Joe tonight because Joel is not here.
Call me Joseph, though, please.
Okay, open forum, we have nobody.
Correct.
Great. Item number 6, consent agenda approval. Motion to accept that.
Don't move.
Second, Dustin?
Okay, motion by, who made the motion?
Joseph.
Joseph. Okay, motion by Joseph, second by Dustin to approve the consent agenda as presented. Proceed to vote on that. Angie,
Yes.
Barb,
Yes.
Bruce,
Yes.
Dustin,
Yes.
Joseph,
Yes.
and myself, yes. Motion passes. Item 6A was the addition to the agenda. That is a new hire, Forrest Johnson, for EBD teacher. Motion to accept that.
Barb Jones will make the motion to move forward.
Second by Dustin Stevens?
Okay, motion by Barb, seconded by Dustin to approve the hiring of Forrest Johnson as EBD teacher. Any questions or any comments from administration on that?
No, we're very fortunate finding EBD teacher for next year at this time, as they're very difficult to find right now.
Okay. Any other questions? If not, we'll proceed to vote on the motion to hire Forrest Roy Johnson as EBD teacher. Angie,
Yes.
Barb,
Yes.
Bruce,
Yes.
Dustin,
Yes.
Joseph,
yes,
and myself, yes. Motion carries. Administrative reports. We begin with the pre-K 5 report. Mrs. Frank?
Good evening, board members. Students and teachers continue to engage daily through distance learning. Our focus has been on finishing strong and making sure students know that we care about them. In addition to completing learning plans, many classes are meeting together using Google Meets to do scavenger hunts, virtual memory books, show and tell, and so much more. These activities have been a fun experience for our students. iPad and library book drop-off will be paired with student belonging pickup on May 26th from 11 a.m. to 7 p.m. and May 27th from 7:30 to 4. Parents can drive up to Winfair using the drop-off loop. They should stay in their car and a staff member will come to them. At the main door, we will collect iPads and books, and at the cafeteria door, we will deliver the students' belongings. Mr. Nielsen and I have a plan for virtual checkout for teachers. This will take place on May 27th and involve an online form paired with a Google Meet. Teachers and paras began packing up Winfair last week. There is a rotation set up so that only 5 to 6 people are in the building at a time. Boxes of packed items will be moved to the West Wing soon for summer storage. Moving the boxes to the new elementary school will take place beginning August 11th. And I just have one final reminder that online registration for kindergarten and Bridges Preschool can be found on our school website. This concludes our report.
Thank you, Mrs. Frank. Any questions for Mrs. Frank? Okay, thank you. Grade 6-12 report, Mr. Joyce.
Good evening, everyone. So I'll just go through our middle school, high school report here. The registration for 2021 is in full gear. Mrs. Squires, Mrs. Nielsen, and Cheyenne Beck are doing a great job coordinating with the students online. They're kind of doing all their registration online and then using Google Meets to offer support for the students. So they've done a great job in an unconventional year there. So we're close to full staff for next year. We do have our business and computers position to fill yet, but we're hopeful with some candidates that we have for that position to hopefully be able to fill that soon. I'm going to come back to the survey results in a moment just because that'll be a little bit lengthier, but we did send out the community survey in late April, and then we did hold 3 community meetings on April 30th. Before we had our staff meeting and staff professional development days on May 1st and 4th to help our staff better serve the needs of our students in the community. One thing we did decide to offer was our Eagle Pride Committee started doing positive office referrals. On May 1st, we actually delivered May Day baskets, which was nice for social distancing because all you do is knock and run away. So the students got nominated and some won that. Last week then, a number of other students did win, and we are snail mailing out gift coupons for local restaurants. So thank you to our students for doing a great job and to our teachers for nominating those students. In the past about 3 weeks, we've had 3 meetings with seniors regarding planning for end of year, different things, including graduation. The first one was just with basically the senior class officers. The second was with the officers along with some student senators. And then the third was with the entire senior class. So we are working through the planning and preparation there. And I know graduation is a separate line item on the agenda that I we'll talk about later. Lockers are being cleaned out thanks to Marsha Hormig for coordinating the school locker clean out. And then our PE department is doing a tremendous job. They've actually got all the PE lockers cleaned out and the stuff coordinated in the blue gym ready for pickup. And actually pickup schedule was just sent out to parents this evening for grades 4 through 12. So they know what that is going to look like on May 26th and 27th for grades 4 through 11, and then grade 12 is actually going to pick up their stuff and drop off their iPads on the 20th of May when they pick up their caps and gowns. the CT addition is come along really well. Walls are up. If anybody drives back there, the shell of it is up. I think the next piece then becomes some roof steel panels and things like that. So it's looking exciting back there, and you can start to see what that shape of that's going to be. And then before we get to our survey results, I just want to say a big thank you to our tremendous teaching staff. Last week was Teacher Appreciation Week. Some signs were actually put up around town to promote Eagle Pride, but also we tried to strategically place those in many of our teachers' lawns to thank them for doing such a great job, not just in distance learning, but all school year. And our students throughout the survey in our community too reiterated the point of how appreciative they are for the efforts and care that our teaching staff has for their students. So Jamie, Mrs. Frank's update reminded me of a couple items too. We are planning our checkout for staff May 27th. We are going to be doing the same as elementary, and that is a Google form that will expedite the process. And then we'll be having our checkouts via Google Meets with all of our teaching staff in preparation of checkout. So hopefully it's a smooth process, but everybody works through that well. And then teachers are continuing to pack if they are moving out of our buildings. So we'll go back to the survey results then. And Mr. Wormstead has pulled up the survey results. And I just want to point out that the graphs here are inclusive of all of the data. That includes elementary and high school. So these are K-12 numbers. So the overall experience with distance learning, the majority of our respondents are saying they were at a 3 or a 4, which is telling us what we want to hear, and that is that they're doing as well as we can with the experience. We had 240 total responses, and we have about 740 families within our district. So we had about a third of our district respond to this survey. So a vast majority are saying that they're at a 3 or 4 with it. So the next question is pertaining to workload. We didn't have a middle number here. We said 1 was too low or too light of a workload, and 4 was way too heavy of a workload. Most of our families were somewhere in the middle, either slightly too heavy or slightly not heavy enough. So, but we kind of see that gravitation toward the middle there as well. And then if we scroll down to the next survey result, if Mr. Wormstead could do that. Thank you. This one was probably the most instructive for myself, and that is that 91.7% of respondents said that they were able to connect directly with their teachers, their students' teachers. And of the ones that said no, a lot of the comments in the survey also indicated that people were saying that their student kind of does their thing. They are able to complete their coursework without a lot of hands-on support from parents as well. So as students get older, that's kind of the case in some cases. So where there were comments that we had to make direct contacts to teachers for information that had to be shared, we made those connects. And I will offer that if Mr. Wormstead moves down the page again, I'm not going to go through all of these comments, but these comments are just for the 6 through 12. Mrs. Frank does have comments as well for pre-K through 5 that she can share out with you, but these are just general comments taken from the survey that we used with our staff. And I guess one example I'll share that we used with our staff was we used this data and this information to tell us that we wanted to create a weekly learning plan that was similar to what the elementary has, even though it's difficult for us with 8 different courses that a high school student has. So we created by grade level a document that basically shows what the schedule is for a week for our 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th graders. So if you're a student in those grade levels or a parent, you can click on here and you see live exactly what's going on for that week. So we're going back to the 27th through the 30th, and then we scroll down, there's last week, May 5th through the 8th. And then if we keep scrolling down, we've got May 11th through the 15th. So that came directly from parental feedback on what their students needed to be successful. So, and then we shared these results with our teaching staff in staff meetings on May 1st. So, so that's the feedback that we got from the survey. And also that concludes my board report for this evening, unless anybody has any questions.
Mrs. Frank, anything from your survey results?
Sure. So our staff also spent some time, especially reading through the comments, and it really made them feel good. Parents and students are just really appreciative of all the work that our teachers are doing. That was the main point that the comments said throughout the entire survey. As far as areas for improvement, our parents were asking for more Google Meets, believe it or not. And it seemed like they wanted an opportunity for students to talk with other students, or maybe do some fun games during the Google Meet. So that's where we came up with the ideas, of a virtual memory book that they could do together, and show and tell and scavenger hunts, and really meeting the social emotional side of learning right now seemed to be really important. So that's what we changed and added as a result of this survey.
Okay, thank you. Any questions for either Mr. Joyce or Mrs. Franklin?
How are you, this is Barb Jones. How are you handling the students that maybe are not able to participate or have not been participating? Is there, do you call the parents, try to get more participation from the ones that maybe aren't, or maybe I don't think there'd be 100% participation all the time. I guess I'm just curious, what happens when there is an issue?
So I'll start, Barb, and Jamie, if you want to add in what the elementary is doing. But Barb, we have a student tracker spreadsheet for grades 6 through 12 that teachers can add information to about the progress of a student. So if a student doesn't attend class, in the old or in the traditional way of doing it, they're not present in that class. And it's hard for us to know that because not taking attendance every hour because of the situation we're in, we don't know about those or how that would be possible. So we're entering that info in the student tracker spreadsheet, and then we're looking for trends, like if a student is not attending class for a whole day, or if a student is not completing work for a particular class or for a number of classes. And we're using that student tracker spreadsheet then to be calling families. And our teachers are doing a lot of those phone calls and those emails. And that's why the afternoon hours where we don't have that synchronous time in class, that's where they're using those afternoon hours to do, is contact families to get in touch with those that are maybe not engaging in the learning during the learning time that's allotted in the morning. So, we're usually a phone call is pretty effective. What we're finding though is we still have parts of our student body that are just really a struggle to engage with. And it's not that they don't have the tools to engage. They've got their iPads, they've got internet, and it's not for lack of trying between our teachers, our paraprofessionals, and our administration. But there are still some that just are not engaging in this process. And that's kind of where we're at right now. And is what do you do with those students? So actually, we've been utilizing Officer Dana Wallace a little bit to go and do home visits to see what we can do to help these students. So.
Okay.
Yes, at the elementary level, we also are doing all of those things. Sometimes we found that texting works better for parents. And so Mr. Nielsen and I, are often texting with parents, and we figure out what the problem is. And sometimes it's been, the iPad is too complicated for my young student. I don't know how to run it. Can I get paper copies? Yes, absolutely. We will bring you paper copies over in just a minute. So lots of problem solving going on behind the scenes. We also have a student tracker that's called I've Tried Everything. And so when teachers feel like they've tried everything and they need more support from Mr. Nielsen and they put it on there, and then we start brainstorming, okay, what can we do next to get the parents involved? So do we have every single student involved? Not all of them, but the vast majority. I think we're down, we only have maybe 5% that are not participating.
One thing that I guess I will add, and it kind of relates to our survey results, but as strong as I think and believe our program has been, what I took the most from our survey results is how much our students want to be in school doing normal school with their teachers and with their classmates. So we're making the best of a tough situation, but it really showed through that, you know, our students want to be together with each other, with their teachers in school. So that was one of the biggest takeaways I got. It's, you know, distance learning is working fine, but it doesn't replace what we do normally. So.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Thank you to both of you people and to all the staff for all the hard work that they're putting in on this. We'll move on to superintendent report, Mr. Wormstead.
Mine will be very brief here, as most of the items we're going to be talking about later in the agenda as specific topics. One thing, legislative sessions in its last 7 days, wrapping up here. As that comes to a head, we're probably going to see, of course, no change in state aid. We'll probably see a couple of policy changes, but that's still up in the air because as I rapidly put this together, we don't have a lot of clear direction on everything. You're seeing the same stuff I'm seeing from MSBA and MREA on that. I would not see a lot of earth moving taking place or at the legislative capitol. If there is a bonding bill, which hopefully there is, it'll be pretty small. I do not see anything that's going to impact us in our education format, such as a service co-op. I'm not sure if that's going to go through at all right now. The request for the bonding for some of the ALC centers and learning centers that they have. Another piece is the board did purchase the ads in the paper and the radio for Teacher Appreciation Week, so we thank you very much for that. Also, with administration's efforts, we put up signs in teachers' yards this year for Teacher Appreciation Week. A couple other items will be coming up a little bit later in this are going to be good discussion topics, so I'll just wait for those as they come up.
Okay. Any questions for the things that have been presented? Otherwise, we'll get the rest later. Move to Board of Education reports, buildings and grounds. The POC meeting was May 5th. Mr. Bordewick was there. He's not present tonight. Dustin, were you in that one or not?
I was unable to be at that meeting.
Okay. Okay.
Go ahead, Don.
Basically, things are on target and everything seems to be going well. The workers are all healthy that we know. They're all being checked as they go in every day. As Mr. Joyce had reported before, the CT building is starting to take shape pretty decent. That looks really good. I don't know what else we need to report, Mr. Wormstead or Mr. Joyce.
If you drive by right now, you're seeing a lot of the sidewalks, entryways, and the curb in front of the elementary are being done. They're actually in some of the areas around the school, they're starting to put in the black dirt around it as they shape the rest of that. You will see probably by next week almost all the sidewalks in on the front half of that, and you'll start seeing the final curb being laid for some of the parking areas there, and then you'll start seeing a Nielsen blacktopping in there. Behind the building, you can see the elementary playground is taking shape with the dirt work being finalized there before they come in and do their work also. The outer of the building is finishing touches. You'll start seeing the final pieces of the capping going on around the building also. Right now, because of COVID, we have very little access to the building right now as we work through the different process there. But yeah, the gym floor is in, the carpeting's going in, the glass for the second level balcony's up. So it's starting to really look like what we designed. So. And of course, we're currently on time and under budget. So 2 things we'd like to hear.
That's good. Any other questions or comments on the building?
I appreciated seeing some of the pictures that Jamie posted. Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Okay, we move on to item number 8, which is approving the project payments for the elementary and the CTE. And the total bills that came in for this meeting are $1,350,000 $65.23. That was all listed in your agenda. Would entertain a motion to pay that amount.
I will make a motion to pay those bills as they are listed by Dustin.
Bruce seconds it.
Okay, motion by Dustin, second by Bruce, to pay the bills for the elementary CTE as presented. The amount of $1,350,065.23. Any questions on any of those items in the report? A lot of these vendors are starting to complete their jobs, so things are starting to look pretty good. And bills coming in at regular time, so. We'll proceed to vote then if there's no questions. Angie,
Yes.
Barb,
Yes.
Bruce,
Yes.
Dustin,
Yes.
Joseph,
yes,
and myself, yes, motion carries. Item number 9 is the building project change orders. There were 4 different change orders in there this time. The things that have had some credits and some expenses. The total amount comes to actually a credit of $27,821.57. That would be a credit back to the school. A motion to approve that.
Angie Clausen, move approval.
Barb Jones, second.
Thank you. Motion by Angie, second by Barb, to accept the project change orders as presented for a credit of $27,821.57. Any questions on those? Now we'll proceed to vote. Again, Angie,
Yes.
Barb,
Yes.
Bruce,
Yes.
Dustin,
Yes.
Joseph,
yes,
and myself, yes again. Motion passes. Item number 10, approve the senior mural design that was in your packet and is up on the screen right now. Anybody have any comment? Well, let's have a motion to accept that.
Barb Jones, I'd like to move this for approval.
Second by Dustin Stevens.
Okay, motion by Barb, seconded by Dustin to accept the senior mural design as presented. Any questions or comments?
Does anyone know if it has a significant meaning to them?
Mr. Joyce?
That's a piece that I will ask. When I first asked, there was not any response to that question. So, but I will ask again and get back to you if there is.
Only if it works. It looks very nice. Thank you.
Yep.
Other questions? Now we'll proceed to vote on the motion to accept the senior mural as presented. Angie,
Yes.
Barb,
Yes.
Bruce,
Yes.
Dustin,
Yes.
Joseph,
yes,
and myself, yes. Motion carries. Item number 11 is the resolution for Minnesota State High School League membership and also designation of the school and board representatives for that committee. And this is an annual form for membership and representatives designated. Our present board member on there is Joel Bordewick. And Joel said he would consent to do that again unless somebody else wants to be on that committee. And the designated school rep now would be the new AD, Jeremy O'Donnell. a motion to accept that resolution.
Bruce, I move approval.
Barb Jones, second.
Thank you. Motion by Bruce, seconded by Barb Jones to move the resolution forward for the Minnesota State High School League membership, and also include Mr. Bordewick as a board rep and Mr. O'Donnell, the school rep. Any questions? If not, we'll proceed to vote on that motion. Begin with Angie,
Yes.
Barb,
Yes.
Bruce,
Yes.
Dustin,
Yes.
Joseph,
yes,
and myself, yes. The motion carries again. Item number 12, excuse me, is the approval of the policy 612.1, which is a development of parent and family engagement policy for Title I program. And that's an annual update to our policies as required by state and federal departments of education. So a motion to approve that policy, number 612.1.
Angie Clausen, move approval.
Barb Jones, second.
Thank you. Motion by Angie, second by Barb to approve policy 612.1, which is the development of parent and family engagement policies for Title I programs. And this had its first reading at the last session, so it is approved or for approval this time. So proceed to vote unless there's questions or comments. Basic changes for dates and I believe grade levels in the policy. Now we'll proceed to vote. Angie,
Yes.
Barb,
Yes.
Bruce,
Yes.
Dustin,
Yes.
Joseph,
yes,
and myself, yes. Motion passes. Item number 13, approval of the MOU, Memorandum of Understanding with MSEA professionals regarding good attendance incentive. And as I said in your board narrative, this is to modify contract language for this year only to allow for good attendance bonus to be paid and prorated only for the first 3 quarters of the school year. A motion to approve this MOU.
Barb Jones will move this forward.
Second by Dustin.
Thank you. Motion by Barb, second by Dustin to approve the MOU with the MSEA paraprofessionals. Any questions on that? If not, we'll proceed to vote. Angie,
Yes.
Barb,
Yes.
Bruce,
Yes.
Dustin,
Yes.
Joseph,
yes,
and myself, yes. The motion passes. Item number 14 is the approval of the emergency worker attendance bonus.
In closing the board narrative, the 2 items that we discussed, for that, I did have the correction on the days. So the maximum anybody could earn is $200 for attending every day that they're required to attend at school. Pertains only to hourly employees.
Motion to move that forward.
Which option would you like to?
Okay. Which one would you suggest for administrative purposes?
We recommend option 1, talking to HR, Jana Everett.
Okay. Option 1.
Yep, it's gonna be easiest for her to tally it, just doing percent. She can just do the on the list for payroll and just look through the punch-ins and she knows exactly who's there.
Okay.
Barb Jones will move forward with option 1.
Bruce, second.
Okay, motion by Barb, seconded by Bruce to approve the option one for the emergency worker attendance bonus. Any questions on that? If not, we'll proceed to vote. Angie,
Yes.
Barb,
Yes.
Bruce,
Yes.
Dustin,
Yes.
Joseph,
yes,
and myself, yes too. Motion passes. Item 15, the last day of 2019-20 school year for seniors has been recommended to be changed to May 19th, with the explanation with graduation taking place on the 22nd and with students and staff preparation time is needed. This also allows to get materials back from seniors prior to graduation instead of after graduation.
Realistically, with our current setup, a regular year, we are able to do that during the final week of senior graduation on that. And with this, in order to get the caps and gowns out, turn around, collect their materials, also have time for our counselor, principal, and the team as a whole to prep and for graduation. Having this break and having that done earlier will assist us in doing that. And that's also why we're talking about the second item, the next one on agenda 2. In front of you, you'll see actually the grid and chart I use for missed days. I have the current amount that we've missed so far on the very top. We have over 80 hours currently right now for seniors than the state minimums. Also, the other grade levels, if we do move forward with this, the seniors will still have 70 hours over the minimum required by the state.
Motion to approve that change to May 19th for the last day for seniors.
Move forward by Dustin.
Second by Angie Clausen.
Okay, motion by Dustin, seconded by Angie to move the May 19th as the last day for seniors. Any other questions or comments on that? Now we'll proceed to vote. Angie,
Yes.
Barb,
Yes.
Bruce,
Yes.
Dustin,
Yes.
Joseph,
yes,
and myself, yes. Motion passes. Item 16 is basically the same with the pre-K through 11 being the 21st, the last day of school for those people.
It basically clears the entire calendar for us for graduation on the 22nd for any last minute prep. Also, with what's been taking place from all student grades and trying to track everything down, and also allowing our staff to slowly check out of buildings and move through the process here this year, I feel it's appropriate for us to end the school year at least one day early to allow those things to take place. And
Motion to accept that.
we are way over the minimums for hours also at every grade level.
Bruce, I will move it forward.
Barb Jones, second.
Okay. Motion by Bruce, seconded by Barb to move that pre-K 11 last day of school to May 21st. Any questions or comments yet? If not, we'll proceed to vote on that motion. Angie,
Yes.
Barb,
Yes.
Bruce,
Yes.
Dustin,
Yes.
Joseph,
yes,
and myself, yes. Motion passes. Item number 17, approve the capital outlay and the preliminary 2021 budgets. Mrs. Pfeffer, are you handy for that, or?
I'm here. How are you guys doing tonight?
All right.
Not a lot of changes from 2 weeks ago. MDE did last week release their fiscal 21 revenue projection model. So I ran our enrollment numbers, which did cause a slight increase in revenue, which is always a good thing. And so when you look at the capital outlay budget that's in the packet, the only change on that is there's a slight increase of a few $1,000s in the operating capital revenue for fiscal year 2021. Other than that, everything is exactly the same than what we went over 2 weeks ago. When you look at our budget for fiscal year 2021, revenue increased approximately $54,784. Expenses increased approximately $6,100. And so our fund balance overall increased right under $49,000. Other than that, I really did not change anything else. We both know that this is a very conservative approach. We've put in all the what we could think of that might happen for next year. And we know that we're going to finish a little bit better than this year that we are projecting. So we're going into some uncertain times with a good fund balance, which will be needed in the years to come. Wayne?
I will note one thing for the budget. Mrs. Frank they've currently have 83 kindergartners registered. We budgeted for 85. And at this point, being that early with the number of kids left, I'm pretty confident we'll be over 90 kindergartners again. But right now we have 83 officially registered. So we're in a very good spot considering we didn't have kindergarten roundup, and we're doing this all basically via distance or telephone calls.
Does that include the B kindergartner,
Yep. Kindergartner. So we'll be very confident to be over 90 students for kindergarten. We had 115 possible kindergarten and kindergartners this year, so we're very confident we'll be over 90.
Any questions on the budget or the capital outlay program?
Yes, I have one. For Peggy. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Peggy, maybe you should inform the board, since I could not teach third grade art, the money was asked to be sent back, and then you call Pat Costello and tell him the rest, maybe. Tell the board the rest. How that money is going to be used.
Oh, okay. Well, unfortunately, due to moving to the distance learning plan, Joe was not able to connect with third grades for the art grant that we get from REMIC. And as stated, he is not accepting the salary to do that. So we had been in contact with REMIC on if they wanted the money back. And then I thought of solutions that maybe might be a good one is I'd ask them if we could use any money left over from the REMIC art grant to buy supplies for the new art teacher for the K-5 building. And the trustees graciously agreed for me to do that. So I'll be working with Mrs. Roberts and using those funds to buy what she needs for her classroom for the fall.
Good.
Thank you.
Thanks, Peggy. Thanks for the question, Joe. I would have had no idea on that. So.
You're welcome.
Okay, then we will entertain a motion to accept the capital outlay and preliminary budgets for 2021.
Joe LaCam, so
Go ahead.
move.
Second, Dustin?
Okay, motion by Joseph and second by Dustin to approve that capital outlay and preliminary budget. Any other questions on that? Now we'll proceed to vote on that motion. Angie,
Yes.
Barb,
Yes.
Bruce,
Yes.
Dustin,
Yes.
Joseph,
Yes.
and myself, yes. Motion passes. Item 18, discussion and approve reinstatement of coaching salaries, and that's on the board in front of you right now also. So, Mr. Wormfed, you want to explain that? And then
Can't hear him.
Whoops, I'll start over. I'll actually unmute myself. Sorry. Minnesota Athletic Director Association, there's a survey. About 220 districts responded, of which 80% are paying their coaches for spring activities. About half of those are doing the same stipulations as Sierra, which we'll go over, and Mr. Nielsen's on the call also to talk about this as necessary. So what Mr. Nielsen has done is to collect evidence and set a plan. He set a plan for what the coaches will be doing for spring, the virtual coaching, because a lot of these kids, the big thing I want to talk about that we're seeing is the mental health piece, the social emotional learning. Our kids are lacking or longing for that human connection, the adult connection, the guidance that a lot of our staff and students and relationships that we have. So social emotional learning, the relationships take place. So I'd give our coaches a lot of credit. We originally held all coaches' salaries at 7/12 this spring until we had a plan, and they're implementing that plan, and they have done that. Leadership strategies, talking about kids, home workouts. We have people doing workouts with them and within the guidelines. We're doing Google Meets to make sure we're connecting and emailing, texting, and doing remind to connect the kids. You're seeing the athletic spotlights on social media. They're doing the clothing drop-offs. A lot of these kids already ordered clothing, different items from that, taking care of it. Get an idea of how many items are within our activity associated, our stuff that we do. We have the coaching handbook, which is by the board at one time, and what takes place here, 38 pages, make sure that we actually have an organized system of what takes place within our athletic program. And that's going to take me all the way back to that. Let me click back down again. It's going to do that every time I click on it. Eagle Coaching website. I'm not going to click on that one, but I want to just give you an example, like within track here. You can go. You have access to all these. Kathy Hankels, this is her list of the head coach of the things that she's doing and connecting with all of her assistant coaches and making sure that they're all doing this together. Some other ones that put some other items in here also and linking the items that they're doing with this through that. So at this time, I do recommend fulfilling the contract obligation with our coaches for the spring seasons. What would you like to have on this?
Go ahead. Okay. What's this? Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Why did you change your mind at first?
Joe, right away, we did not have a plan. Joseph, we didn't have a plan. We didn't have the feedback of what was going to be taking place. So it's no different than not having plans on building a house. I'm not going to pay the contractor until we know what we have there, is my sort of theory with it. Our coaches did step up and did provide the evidence and a plan for the rest of the season within the Minnesota State high school guidelines with that. So, yes, I do believe it's appropriate to pay them now.
What percentage?
All of it.
Okay. Now, did the kids actually meet with the coaches?
They were not allowed to meet physically with the coaches. They're only allowed to meet via distance learning and get workouts and talk to the coaches, text, and everything else.
Okay. Here's some questions for discussion. How do you think this is going to play out with the public relations, PR? People in the community have been laid off. Some have lost their jobs. Businesses aren't open. Number two, question to think about, the state will probably have a shortfall in their funding soon, which may affect our funding in the near future. These are things that have been brought up to me from the citizens. And how will taxpayer citizens look upon this with this whole COVID-19 as far as serving kids, since they don't meet with them?
Joe, I'm going to speak up here and maybe ask Dane to step in on this. Our coaches did connect and meet with kids within the same parameters and guidelines we're having our teachers do this as much as they could, and actually set up workouts and everything else from videos, connecting, watching, talking, meeting with these kids. I have a daughter that's a track star, and I know that's what's going on there with her high jump coach and workouts and things there. My junior high son and the workouts he received and what he did. I know that from just having my own kids involved in this. Now, if they wouldn't have done these things, yes, I would be on the exact same page where you're at there too. But I do feel they fulfilled their obligation as well as anyone else in the state who's getting paid their full salary. Mr. Nielsen?
Yep, I would echo those same things. Our coaches have worked extremely hard and have gone above and beyond, probably even more so for the biggest piece here, which is that mental health piece and that connection, and making that connection and continuing that connection They were doing this regardless. They've been doing this since their spring season started. Obviously, a couple of the sports were able to meet and have some practices there before we were sent home with COVID. But the coaches are doing the same things that the teachers are doing and fulfilling this at many different times in the evenings. And then I can speak to not only just from meeting with the coaches and constant communication that we have for these and what this looks like, but also because I have a coach living in my home too. And I hear what those Google Meets are like too, when the coach that lives in my house is meeting, and how excited the kids are to talk and connect. And it isn't always talking about the sport. It's talking about the other things that are going on and being there for them. So yeah, our coaches have gone above and beyond, have done a great job in implementing the spring virtual coaching plans that we've set forth.
But I don't think the public is going to know this. And I don't think, from what I've heard, they believe that if you don't meet with students, you don't get paid. This is the information that I got.
Well, then, Joe, we have a problem paying all of our teachers then.
Yeah, that's exactly what I would say. Then our teachers shouldn't get paid because they're not. So that's kind of, the coaches are in the same boat as the teachers and doing the exact same things that our teachers are doing. Our coaches are teachers.
But do the public know that?
We're
As far as
talking right now, Joe.
PR, I mean, public relations, I'm concerned about that because basically people feel that students weren't met with the coaches when actually in no spring sports as far as having it done. So I think the public is going to have a hard time figuring out that they should be paid if they don't actually meet with all the students.
Joe, I'm going to start with, I can agree with the perception that you have taking place there. But the reality is what Mr. Nielsen and the coaches did to fulfill my void on this, because at the time it was my recommendation to just stop paying until we had a plan, and they have full outperformed the
Wayne,
and then
you missed the point.
As I finish, Joe, I understand. I want you. Can I finish your? I listened to yours. Is that if we're going to do this the entire time in this process, I've told our employees on the 2 or 3 all staff meetings is that we are going to take care of our people. If they do the right thing, we're going to take care of them financially. We're going to take care of them because the state has actually given us our funds for this year to take care of them. If they are doing what we're asking, we're going to make sure we follow through. That's been the stand that I've had on this, and I'm fine if you disagree with it, but that's my recommendation.
No, Wayne, I'm just echoing what the public is going to get the conception. What kind of conception are we going to have as far as PR? Is it going to be something that's going to not be a good thing as far as they are? Not going to be informed.
I'd be more than happy to talk to the newspaper and the radio about this, but I'd be more worried about what's going to happen with your employees when we find out they did everything we asked. We followed through on everything but this one area here. I don't think our employees should be treated that way. And I'll be the first one to tell you, I was the first one to say they aren't getting paid until we know. And I was the first one to do that. And I had people disagree with me left and right. And I even sent the email to the board says, we're going to wait until we know what's taking place. Right now, we cannot pay them. I agree. That was all started with my email that I sent the coaches, I sent the board, I sent everybody. Since then, they have more than outperformed my expectations. They've done a great job. It's been well organized with this, and I'm more than happy to take the heat for anything there, but I will be happy to talk to the newspaper, the radio, about how valuable our coaches are to the mental health and the performance of our kids that are taking place in our community.
May I interject? From a board member standpoint, I spoke personally with about a handful of the coaches with the same concern, Joe, that you share. And they did actually describe what they were doing. And they were doing a lot of extra transportation on their own, delivering materials without contact, but delivering materials to the students. And I felt very secure after conversing with them and hearing firsthand the amount of time that they were putting in with what I would call student contact without actually having that physical presence with the students. I hope that helps your perspective, Joe, and also if that could be shared with the newspaper and the radio, just from the board standpoint on the concern for the public of that I was in the same situation of thinking as Mr. Wormstead, and then I was able to converse with about 5 coaches, and then I realized that they were putting forth the effort. 3 of them also shared voluntarily that even if they didn't get paid a dime, that they felt the desire to serve those students. But knowing that the state was able to provide those funds, I felt comfortable from a board point that it's okay to pay them their full, what they were anticipating for their work.
I do think it's going to be poor PR for the school as far as okaying this, because again, I've heard this from the public.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't meet with students, how can you pay the coaches?
I've been in on a number of meetings that have taken place. So our coaches are meeting with students. They get great turnout in these Google Meets. They've been talking about a number of things, anything from mental health to, there was a meet just the other day that our JV baseball coaches had, where they were going over trick plays in baseball, going over situations, going over a number of things and still learning and doing some specific sport things that they are allowed to do according to the Minnesota State High School League right now. And they've taken full advantage of that. And they've had great attendance on their Google Meets with these kids that are just longing to have that connection with them.
But the kids themselves aren't really participating in any events, are they?
On their own, they were, from my gathering, and from students that I've spoken with, those students were completing workouts that they would speak with their coach each day about what they were to do. So I, in fact, thought that 2 of the coaches that I can think of were actually probably having to put in more time by meeting with students like what we are doing right here, but meeting with students more individually over a Zoom meeting or telephone than they would by meeting with them as a team in a group after school for a period of time. I do understand that it's our duty to see that the taxpayer money is spent well. And I was concerned, just like you, Joe, and the public. After investigating into it, I feel confident that the money is spent well, and I don't have any concerns at this point from my standpoint from investigating into it a bit.
I really think that the community is not going to accept that, especially full pay. Some schools are going 80%. But I myself find that there actually was no participation as far as students, actually having that event as far as that season. And that's what they're going to be, and that's what I'm hearing from the community.
We're gonna get differing opinions from everybody, and what we need to remember is we need to make sure we're taking care of our teachers and our coaches as well. Because we're never going to please everybody, and we need to do the right thing by our teachers who give up more hours than we even are aware of taking care of these kids.
But the public is not going to understand that.
Some of the public will understand it. Some of them won't.
Joe, you're not giving the credit to the public that they deserve.
Yeah.
Well, the thing is, they don't understand. They're probably not educated. They probably don't know what's going on.
There's 2 more of the comments. I think Bruce had a comment.
I was just saying that it's up to us then to educate the public then. And I think the idea of if you were going on to get a newspaper article or the radio station, that it'd be good to have a couple of these student athletes talk about what they did. If the public needs to know what they did, then it's something that, as we've gone, I feel confident that Mr. Nielsen and Mr. Wormstead are quite proud of the work that the coaches did. That's good enough for me.
Okay, let's get a motion on the floor to accept this reinstatement of coaching salaries.
Angie Clausen, move approval.
Bruce, seconds.
Okay, motion by Angie, second by Bruce to reinstate the coaching salaries as presented. Any other questions or comments? Okay, if there's nothing else, then we'll proceed to vote on that. Angie?
Yes.
Barb?
Yes.
Bruce,
Yes.
Dustin,
Yes.
Joseph,
Yes.
and myself, yes. Motion passes. Item number 19 is to discuss graduation plans.
I know you haven't received this yet. We're prepping this to go out tomorrow. We received word on Friday what the graduation guidelines would be, which you've already seen with that. What I want to do is give Mr. Joyce a lot of credit for working through the problems in advance with teachers and students. He's been leading committees to make sure what we could possibly do. And, we've had a lot of different ideas out there, but what I'm going to have Mr. Joyce do, he's going to walk through this plan with you because he knows it the best and he's done all the communication, done a wonderful job of making sure this is stated. I want to understand that we will have proper social distance, one. Two, when we do have the kids come to diploma, I did talk to Mr. Brugman about possibly standing next to a picture. We will not be able to do that, Mr. Brugman, Don, with that. So the students will actually pick up a diploma off the table and we'll have a photo in their cap and gown by themselves with that, just for the distancing guidelines. But I'm going to have Mr. Joyce explain everything that's taking place with this, that's going to be happening. Plan on having out tomorrow for the paper and also to all of our senior students and the public. Please speak up if you want to see changes.
Thank you,
One
Mr.
thing, someone's got to mute their phone, I think it is.
Okay.
Wayne?
Oh, all right, go on. Okay. Like I stated earlier, we have had 3 meetings with the senior class to kind of brainstorm and get some feedback from the seniors. At the time, we really didn't have guidance from the state on what might be possible for us. So we tried to brainstorm any possible action, whether it be an outdoor venue respecting social distancing to utilizing our gym, but on a much more small basis. When the guidance came out Friday, it became very apparent what we could do, and with that, we tried to create a plan that, as we state early in the plan here, it's not like anything we've done before. We have to adhere to the safety of everybody involved, the state guidelines that have been presented, but also our desire to honor our class of 2020 in the best possible way. So what we are proposing to do is move the ceremony up to allow us some more daylight. Typically we start at 7 p.m. and what we're going to be needing to do is start at 5 p.m. on Friday the 22nd and start that out with a car parade because our community can't come to the gym to honor our seniors this year. So we're hoping that we can have our seniors with their families in their vehicles do a parade down River Road, down to the square area, around the square, and then over to the to 6th, then go by Wind Fair, and then back down on 17th. The police department and the fire department have agreed to be a part of this. They want as many vehicles as they can to be a part of this parade. Scott Peterson has confirmed with me that the police department will do whatever they can and whatever's needed to block traffic or steer traffic for the time being. We don't anticipate the parade taking longer than a half hour, 40 minutes to get around, but also this isn't a throw candy type of parade or anything like that. This is students in their vehicles with their families and only their immediate families in the vehicles. But of course, we want them to wear their caps and gowns and drive through this. So the parade is the first part of that. And really the purpose of the parade is so that our community can honor our seniors and come out of their homes and wave and clap and just welcome the seniors into that graduation weekend. So I'm not going to go through every detail of this document. This document will be shared out publicly. I go into a lot more depth as far as social distancing and guidelines of that nature. But Mr. Wormstead, if you go to page 2 there, after the parade concludes back at the high school, we are going to park everybody, and I'm working with Val Halter on a nice map about where everybody is going to park in the lot. But we are going to have more of an abbreviated ceremony in the school parking lot. We'll set up a platform outside. I'm working on getting that decorated a little bit, obviously, with some of the flowers and class colors that the students have chosen this year. Also working on a student speaker for the event, potentially live, but also could potentially be a pre-recorded. We haven't decided on that completely. I've been working with a lot of people since Friday to get this as thought out as possible. Basically, we're going to ask each family to stay in their vehicle and then respect social distancing while they're in the parking lot, and then park around the perimeter of the lot during the ceremony. I am working with KDOM. They're going to carry the event live. And actually, we're working on something kind of special for each student, but also they're going to play some background music on loop while that's going on. And I'm working with Mrs. Axford to coordinate how that music all works. And she's been actually collecting in her classes a lot of student music samples during this distance learning. So we anticipate that a lot of the music that's played is actually our seniors singing, even though it can't be in that live venue like we have every year. So every graduate will have their name read. We are going to set up a speaker system outside there so we can announce those names. And then the student will drive their vehicle up, or the family will drive the vehicle up, and the student will get out, walk across the platform, pick up their diploma, and then I am working with the citizen. They're going to be taking a picture of the student throughout that process, and then they'll get back in their vehicle, go back to their parking spot, and then the next family will come up and do the same thing until we kind of get through everybody. And reading each student's name is something very important and a nice rite of passage that we want to honor. So after that takes place, that will conclude the evening. We are asking all families to stay in the parking lot, so we have everybody there the whole time and kind of an audience for every person that's receiving a diploma that evening, every graduate. So we ask that everybody goes back to their parking spot, turn their vehicle off, and then listen to KDOM while they're carrying the event. So we do plan on creating a video of the parade, a video of the disbursement of the diplomas, and then a senior video will obviously not be able to be shown that night, but we're hoping to be able to show that in the video that we send out later on via a YouTube link. So, and then we just have a disclaimer on the bottom about anybody that is sick or in the last 14 days that has shown any symptoms that they not partake in the event. So, but if somebody were to happen to have something of that nature happening and they're within their own vehicle, they're not going to be coming in contact with other people from the public. We're trying to be very respectful of that social distancing, those guidelines. So, but I'm working so far since Friday. We found out that was kind of the plan, but I'm working. I've been in contact with the mayor, the city administrator, the chief of police, fire department chief, our street superintendent, along with everybody at our school to make sure that we can carry out an event of this magnitude outside. So so far we're getting a lot of thumbs up on things. So this is tentatively our plan that hopefully I can communicate out to reassure our families and our students tomorrow.
Board member comments.
Yes, Brian, thank you for your work on this. It looks great and well thought out. It's nice to see that looking here, it looks like KDOM will be doing kind of a live broadcast as the graduation goes on.
Yeah, I've talked to Dirk on Friday, and then he did confirm today that they are in with us on this. And what we're hoping to do is that they can play music during the parade portion, and that can be maybe more like their song and songs with words in it. But during the actual graduation, handing out diplomas would be more instrumental type music. And then we're actually planning something kind of special to go on during that time as well for each graduate that we actually do in normal graduation years. So
that is just great. Thank you. I would also like to say that, sure, as board members, if we could be in the area at a safe social distance apart from one another to applaud, clap, or show support, I would certainly enjoy doing that for those students if you can make that work, or if other board members are able, or if it's possible to do.
And I'll be coordinating with Mr. Wormstead on that piece, and I'll hope that he can coordinate and communicate with our board members then as we plan to make sure that we are able to respect social distancing guidelines as they are. But certainly I'll work with Mr. Wormstead through that, and I think I'll work through him on communicating to you folks on where that'll look, or what that'll look like.
Brian,
Go ahead.
can I, as a board member give my grandchild his diploma?
No,
Uh,
that won't be taking place, Joe. We won't have any handing of the diplomas by anybody during that because of social distancing rules from any board member or
So
superintendent.
how are they getting that? How are they getting in that?
So we're going to be setting the diplomas on the table, and then the student would pick it up at that time, so that we aren't having any actual physical contact between families going on.
Oh,
So,
okay.
but certainly, Joe, if you know, if something can be worked out and talked through with Mr. Wormstead, we can discuss that. But the plan for right now is to just set the diploma on the table, and then the student would come and pick it up, and then hold that up for their picture.
Okay.
We won't be having any, because once we have one, we'll have others that want to. What we're going to do is we're going to keep it the same for all the students across the board. For that, however, the diploma will be taken, passed out for that. Does not mean afterwards families won't be taking the pictures. Of course, they need to. I have thought about that, Dustin, about having a place where, as the students drive in and drive by the board members, board members to wave at them, and then be able to be a spot where they can still see from there.
Yes, at a distance and just to show support.
Yep.
Say, Wayne, I know when we initially talked about this, we were talking about maybe parents handing them their diplomas. Was that not an option anymore since they're in the same household? It'd be
Well,
kind
the
of
same
nice for
household,
some
what we'll have to do is, yeah, what we'd have to do with that issue is we'd have, as they came out and did that, we'd have the number of people might be over 10. And then also a big concern is how long it will take for us to hand those out at about 3.5, 4 minutes to unload and reload cars. As we do that with photos and everything, our graduation would be pushing well over 2-3 hours
Okay.
for that. So
We also had to keep in mind the equity piece on this, and not every student comes with an equal family background into the scenario. So we wanted to be respectful of that and not put people in difficult situations.
How many seniors do we have this year?
I believe the last I looked would be 79 students will be receiving a diploma next Friday.
Anything else? Questions? Comments?
I will say that you're going to be seeing a large push across the state to have rural Minnesota try to set their own parameters for some of this. I know I'm seeing the superintendent stuff. I was on the school board superintendent conversation with commissioner today for that, and they had the chat line open, and there's a lot of strong feelings that rural Minnesota should be able to do what they want to do with this. I don't feel that the state's going to change their parameters for that. There is a petition out there. There's some other items. But if anything does change and allows us to do anything that makes the event more memorable, then whatever the guidance is from the state, we are going to do that to make sure it's the best possible graduation for the students. So if they loosen some guidelines a little bit, we will take advantage of that. If they do not, we'll continue with this plan.
One item I did want to add on to that board members may get questioned about is the date and whether we would be better off postponing until maybe something opens up. And we discussed that option. Our concern is kind of twofold. Number one, we feel that students have earned their diplomas and they deserve those as soon as they're done with class next week. And you know, if they're ending on Tuesday, you know, waiting until Friday to get their diploma, we feel is appropriate so that we can get grades processed and all of that. Secondly, we also feel that if we were to delay a ceremony into the summer, we can't guarantee that all students have necessarily set that date aside. People have plans throughout the summer. Some of our students are actually leaving for military service and other endeavors in their lives that we would be worried that we wouldn't be able to get every student from this class together at that time. So we feel it's important to keep consistent with the date as originally planned.
Anything else? Thanks for all the work on this, Brian, and all the people involved with the whole program.
Yep, thank you, and we look forward to a great night honoring our students.
Yep. Any other questions with that? Otherwise, we'll wait for information to be sent out. And I know it was the hottest topic on the afternoon program with MSBA. So. Okay, we'll move to item number 20. The Wyndham Area Elementary Open House and Community Thank You. Brief discussion on that.
Yes, there is. I would like to, I learned tonight that there was a great appreciation for the teachers as far as getting the signs in the yard. Maybe we could apply the same principle about maybe, I think when the people that voted for the new elementary will be very proud and impressed when they've seen this elementary building. And I'm thinking that maybe a visual thank you sign should be created by the district and posted probably for a whole year close to the where people can see it as a thank you for the people that voted in the referendum. I think gratitude is something you'd never regret, and especially if the people know that you're thankful, the district is thankful for passing the referendum. Possibly, if we ever ask for money again, this might come to their thought as far as being thankful and being thanked for their passing the referendum. So I would like to see that, and I have mentioned that in the past, and it would be kind of, I think it'd be a nice PR gesture.
To this date, we don't have any formal plans for a grand opening yet, other than we're hoping to have a community grand opening in which people get a chance to tour the building, and also possibly some type of on the back side where a bus parking on the pavement areas is to have a maybe a hamburger hot dog night for that at this time. We have not gotten that far into planning. Those points good.
What's the idea about the visual sign, thank you sign? Some ideas about that as far as the board's concerned. I know Joel was, when I mentioned this, quite a few months ago, thought it was a good idea.
The one thing I do have that I know for thing is a commemorative plaque that's usually done on a new building. I know the board needs to speak about that, how they want that shaped and framed, and also the signage is something that I think the board needs to discuss, because we'll need probably on the signage about 4 to 5 weeks lead time to make sure we have proofed correctly. But also that commemorative plaque that usually goes inside the door inside the front doors for the building.
Pardon me? What was this?
Commemorative plaque that usually goes inside a construction of a new public building.
Okay.
That's another thing also.
I've seen it done in other schools, and it was a very positive PR move.
So does the board want to have a POC committee plan, the open house, and the thank you for the community? I know we'll be involving the print and radio media on that also.
I would do
Idea.
I'm sorry.
Can't hear anybody.
Wayne, I would be happy to help with that in any way you
Okay.
need.
Thank you, Angie.
Yep.
Likewise, I could join.
Thank you, Dustin.
And I also.
Okay. That's 3.
Okay, that's all we can have on those. And so if you got ideas, other guys have ideas, let one of those 3 people know.
I'll also take pictures of our current plaques for the Winfair Elementary and also the one that's at the middle school, high school for the building construction of those, so you can see what I'm talking about.
Yeah, they're in the lobbies of all those buildings.
That is correct.
Anything else we need to discuss tonight?
Yes. I got the Citizen newspaper out this weekend, and I read that Superintendent Wormstead was voted by other superintendents prestigious award for his leadership and innovation and his hard work and being a good superintendent. I would completely agree with that, and it was a very nice article. And so if the rest of the board agrees, I really congratulate you, Mr. Wormstead, for that. I think it's well deserved.
I'll have to get the Citizen and get that read. Congratulations, Wayne.
Yeah.
Well, thank you. I got a good board and a great staff, so it makes my life a lot easier in what I do.
Was
Great
well-
job, Wayne.
Thank you, Dustin.
Thanks for mentioning it, Dustin. Thank you.
Mhm. We're lucky to have Wayne. Mhm.
Yes, we are.
Yes.
I agree 100%.
Anything else? If not, the meeting will be adjourned. Thank you for your time and your questions. And
Thank you, Dan.